Sean, you said that you never go negative. Um, is that just a way of saying that you never like slam a beer like in a bad way, or you just never say nope, don't like this one. Um, what do you mean by that? I mean, I've watched a bunch of episodes. I feel like most of the beers you drink, you do like, so it's probably goes right along with what you're saying there. You don't go negative. You're mostly positive on beers, but how do you handle a beer that you just don't like?
Yeah. So the idea for me was like, you know, going back to Excel, if I was making an Excel spreadsheet and I spent all this time on it and I looked up different ways to do different things and added this presentation layer and blah, blah, blah. And you came to my office and you didn't know how to do this document and you said, that is shit. Delete that. Don't send that to anybody. That'd bother me. Right. So what I try to do is, I know this is people's livelihood. A lot of people put a lot of time into it. There's not all beer is great. I know that. But what I like to do is, I try not to be I'm like, by nature, I'm kind of a realist. So what I like to do is, I try the beer, and if there's something that I don't like about it, what I try to do is say, like, instead of saying, this is horrible. Like if I drank toilet water with like a hop steeped in it, this is horrible. I probably would say about that. But if it was absolutely atrocious, most beer that's absolutely atrocious isn't going to make it to your shelf. But, if it was really bad, maybe I'd say something really bad about it. But what I try to do is say, like, how I would like to see it different. So let's say, for example, this beer, this Fluff Buddy Marshmallow Double IPA, if I were to review this and if I absolutely didn't like it, I would say, hey, this has, these are the flavors I'm getting. I'm not getting the marshmallow or the vanilla though. So I would like to see more of that. Or I might compare it to another beer and say, like, no, I like the other one better. And I'm kind of tossing this idea of maybe like changing it up to say, like, would I buy a single of this or would I buy a multi-pack, like a 4-pack, a 6-pack of this? But I don't really rate beers either. So yeah, but what I don't want to totally slag on a beer. I'm not going to drain pour a beer on a video. I just like to say, like, hey, this is my taste. Your taste. What I'm hoping is that people that watch my videos enough kind of get to know what my taste is. And then they can watch a video and say, like, oh, hey, I know that Sean likes, he likes this beer and he likes this beer and he likes this beer and I like those beers. So let's see what else he says that he likes and I'll try that one too. And if he says, like, hey, this is okay, but I would like to have less tequila flavor, or I would like to see, if you're saying this is a coffee stout, let's say, let's have a little bit more coffee in it. Hey, Sean says there's not a lot of coffee in this coffee stout. Maybe this is one I want to avoid because I love coffee. So I don't want to be totally negative on something. I try to say, like, this is what I like about it, or this is something that I'm tasting out of it. If in order for me to like it more, this is what it would need to have in order for me to like it more. So instead of just going like, no, I don't like it because it doesn't have that. It's like, it says it's going to have that. It'd be nice if it didn't have, if it had more of this, or if it didn't have this. So that's kind of the direction that I like to go.
That makes sense. I mean, I don't think we've had a show where we drain poured something.
No.
I know we've had some beers that were like, didn't care for them, but I mean, that was we just recently stopped using the rating system from Untapped because it's very arbitrary and personal. So I know that there's been some beers that haven't rated on our own personal scales all that well, but even on those, I don't think that we're like, oh, this beer's terrible. It's not, I would never drink this again. We may have said something close to that, but not just flat out like, don't ever drink from this brewery. It's terrible.
Right.
Just like I said, we're doing a show here, and you don't want to slam somebody because that is their livelihood, and just kind of give an honest review, and it's just your opinion anyway. So
right. totally. It's everything that that I say is, it's my opinion. So, I don't want, not to say either that you or I or anybody has all this influence that like, oh, well, he didn't like it, so they're going to go out of business. But it's like the market's going to speak for itself, right? Like if enough people say, I don't like that beer, I'm not going to buy it, it's not going to be on the shelf. So they don't, that's probably not going to make it to us unless, it's like some millionaire has a bunch of money and they're like, hey, I heard there's money in craft beer. Let's ask that YouTube guy. He's rolling in it. And they put out their own distribution or whatever. So I just try, like I said, I just try to not be negative about it. And the market's going to bear what the market's going to bear. If it's not a good beer, it's not going to stick around. And if it was not something that I liked, I would say, yeah, this isn't my thing. And I think there's been a few that I've just said like, yeah, this isn't my thing. If you like this, it might be something that you want to try, but it's not for me.
Yeah. I mean, most beers I think are pretty much self-weeding. I mean, they'll, if a brewery's not selling, enough of beer of a certain style, they're just not going to make it anymore. So it's not, it's not our job to say, don't buy this or do you buy this anyway. So